Okay, we're back in 1997 in the WWE, and Bret's the champ. And what's the climate like here right now?
Business is tough, but it's tough in the way that house show business is actually coming up. But television, we're getting our asses kicked week in and week out by Ted Turner, and we're putting on some of the best television we've done in a while.
Fiscally, are contracts challenging your profitability right now?
Some contracts were, yeah.
How about one guy in particular? Bret Hart was signed to an extensive deal a couple of years earlier. What were the terms of that contract?
Well, Bret was signed to a long-term guaranteed deal.
20?
That yes, I believe it was 20 years, and it was a lot of money up front. And we were going along well, we were doing well. The rest of the talent, when you look at all the talent as a whole, that was an awful big chunk that the rate of return, are you really going to get that? And you know, Bret was looking at retirement as well, and looking at getting out at some point and doing other things. So when I say retirement, he was looking to slow down and retire at some point. So you're looking at what you're going to get out of it, and I think that chunk of money was just a drain on the company at that point.
When Vince realized that it would have been better off to lose Bret and save that money and focus on the other talent, there were certainly other high-profile players there, did he first say to Bret, listen, you're free to go across the street and see what you can get. If you get anything better, please take it.
Yes. I mean, he wanted to do what was right for Bret. And he felt, if I can't do this for you, Bret, I don't want to stand in your way of, if they've got an offer for you for more money, go get the money. Go take it. Go get the money and realize that the store will always be open, you know. But it was not, we hate to lose, you know, we hated to lose him.
Right.
But it was, Vince didn't want to stand in his way of making a better deal for himself. And he said, use us against them.
Would Bret have been willing to restructure the contract to maybe backload some of this money?
But that wouldn't have been a good deal for the company either. That really wasn't an option.
Okay.
At that point, you know, maybe hindsight being 20/20, it may have worked out tremendously for him. But at that point, that really wasn't an option.
For the purpose of going forward, we should define a term right now because it's going to come up. What is reasonable creative control, and what is unreasonable creative control?
Well, I'll get on my soapbox now. I believe a creative control clause in any contract is complete bullshit. I don't care who you are. Because if you're going to go to work for someone, you have to have a level of trust, and you have to have a reasonable level of trust that they're going to do what's right for business. Because when you go to work for someone, you're going to work for them, and they're paying you to increase their business and to do more business. If you're going to give away, whether it's reasonable creative control, unreasonable, or just creative control, now you're giving away a part of your business where you're held hostage by someone or something else. So reasonable creative control was that it would be discussed, and if they felt that they had a better way to do it, it was always open. It was just put in to appease.
But ultimately, aren't you fucking yourself as a boss to be able to say...
You're hoping that the other person you're dealing with is going to be reasonable.
And what if they're not?
Is
it stated anywhere that...
reasonable.
Well, right, and here we are.
Yeah.
Is it said anywhere that if I don't feel your proposition is reasonable, I have the final say?
No.
Right.
So what's reasonable?
Oh. What are the options as an exit strategy when it's first apparent that Bret's not going to restructure any kind of contract, Vince really can't offer him anything else, and we're going to let him go across the street? You must sit with Vince and Pat and say, okay, here is how we can do this. Even before you go to Bret, What's the plan you guys come up with?
What we did. With the exception of the plan is exactly what happened, except for the screw job. The plan was Sean was going over at Survivor Series. We were moving on to Steve. Steve was building this whole time. Mm-hmm. Steve was, man, he was the guy. That's where we were going. We had Mike Tyson over here. We knew where we were going. But the plan was, man, Brett drops the title there, whether Brett was with us or not.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Did you think it was a possibility at that point that Brett wouldn't be with you?
When the original plan was made?
Yes.
No. But when he did, it just sped it up. It's pretty simple. I mean, it was what it was. Because actually, and I believe it's what I'm pretty sure I have for the alternative, if Brett had stayed, the blow-off was going to be at Royal Rumble with the return. So, because you had to keep Steve away from whoever that was until Rumble to Mania.
Why couldn't we get to the Rumble at least so Brett could have done it that way?
Brett didn't want to.
Wouldn't give you 3 more months?
No. At that point, it was he gave him an opportunity to go. Here's what they came back. They wanted him to come in such a time. I was like, okay.
But he's still under contract to you.
Yeah.
So you could say you can't leave until January.
One thing, you know, you say a lot of things about Vince McMahon. He's a man of his word, and if he says he's going to do it, then he'll do it. I say that as we talk about he's a man of his word, and then he'll did what he did. But he did it again. We'll get into it.
What I'm going to is Brett had a lot of power over this situation, more than maybe he should have.
Brett had reasonable creative control on his character and what he did. Now, if someone else felt that was unreasonable, at the end of the day, you've got to go with what the company feels is the right thing to do for the company. Because we no longer are going to be using Bret Hart. So, it's not reasonable to us for him to win on his last night with the company.
No, I get that. Sean's reluctance to job to anybody. Did this create a tit-for-tat kind of situation which may have contributed to Brett's reluctance, whether it was Canada or not, to lay down for Sean?
There was always animosity. There was always that personal jealousy between the two. Sean was in a different place at that time, and Sean could be very abrasive at times. And I just think it was locker room bravado. Well, I'm not doing a job for anybody. Well, fuck him. I'm not going to do a job for him.
Right.
Would Sean have done a job for him? I think in a heartbeat if Vince asked him to. No problems. No questions asked. But 2 guys in the locker room, everybody sitting around. I'm not going to job for you. Please. My God, who would believe that? You know, so that's all that was. Brett took it seriously. Brett's a very deep thinker and very serious guy. He took it seriously, took it to heart. Like, how dare you, you son of a bitch, after everything I've done in this business, done for Sean, you know, vice versa. They had some of the greatest matches ever. And they both really, truly respected each other. I don't think they really liked each other too much at certain times, but they respected each other, yes. And I just think it was bravado and bullshit, and people in Brett's ear going, Sean's not going to do a job for you. He wouldn't do a job for you. Why should you do a job for him? Mm-hmm. And it's just everybody stirring the pot.
Why was a title loss the only conceivable way for Vince to get the title back? Why couldn't it have been a presentation of a title back to Vince? Thank you for 20 years of blah, blah, blah.
Is that really reasonable?
I don't know that it is, but it would have saved any potential headaches.
No, because then you've got your competitor on the other side that can now introduce the man who never lost your championship onto their show. You got your competitor there that's salivating, picking up everybody that, you know, sneezes on our side and dangling millions and millions of dollars in front of them. And what you know, you're just trying to hold on to everything you've got, and you know you've got to get. We had to get to the Rumble. We had to get to Tyson, so that we could take that ride, and that's what turned the corner. But it was planned out. We could have done another company's knee-jerk reaction and go, "Oh my God, Brett's leaving! Bring Mike Tyson in and let's do it tomorrow." We could have done that.
Right.
Okay? But it was no. We've got a plan. This is going to work. We're going to do Mike Tyson's first pay-per-view appearance since coming out of jail. We're going to make this work, and in the process, we are going to debut Stone Cold Steve Austin to the world. So that plan never derailed. That plan was always there. What derailed was how Brett passed the torch, how Brett moved on.
When it is proposed amongst just the management that we may have to just take this off Brett, what's the reaction from the room? Who suggests it, and what's the reaction?
Well, it was just logical. I mean, it had to be done. There was no...
Everybody was on the team then.
Oh, without a doubt. Because at that point, there's really no other option.
Well, where does that... You knew you had to get the belt off Brett, but where does the revelation that, you know what, the way this is going, we're just going to have to get it off him? When is that proposed before November 9th? How far back?
Probably a month, whenever Brett gave us the decision that he had accepted the WCW offer.
So in those 30 days, there's no other city that he would have been willing to drop a title in? I mean, he has said that it was because it was Canada that he wouldn't do it. But
why would you do that to your business? Why would you say, hey, gosh, if you'd only been in Hoboken on Wednesday night, Bret Hart lost the WWF Championship.
Well, you had Raw, you had venues that you could have showed the loss.
Sure,
you could have done it on TV on Raw.
Sure, you could have, but you have a pay-per-view, one of your largest pay-per-views of the year that you have set up, that you've booked. So then, okay, he drops the title there. Then you get to the return on Survivor Series. Who's to say that he's still going to say no? Can't do it. It's Canada. I'm a hero.
Okay.
Sure, those options existed, but they weren't good business options. They weren't. I don't know why you would do that to appease Brett, who was only looking after Brett, versus looking after everyone else in the locker room and another company, the whole company. So you're going to give up a pay-per-view buy rate so Brett would feel better about not losing in Canada. He's lost in Canada before. I mean, so if we have a show in Houston, Texas, I can't lose. Actually, me going over in anything would be, I wouldn't know what to do. I was like, huh? I don't know how. I don't know how. Never done that.
I'm going to be a cynic, okay? And I'm going to say that. Here's a documentary that...
This is kind of like American Idol with the Coke thing.
It'll be blurred. I don't think we have to worry about that sponsorship money. Here's a documentary that I'm financing because I'm Bret Hart, and we're in the midst of doing it. You've given me access to the company, and we could shoot, the whole, backstage doings. And here's an interesting, thorough thread to the story. My contract and what are we going to do? Now it's an interesting documentary. You might be able to sell this one. Actually, I'm going to need a big climactic moment coming up. Let's put that on pause. Here's a problem in my contract that Vince has, okay, and he's got to get out of it one way or the other. And I need to save face. I really don't want to drop this strap the way he wants, and I don't want to do it in Canada. All of those scenarios resolved beautifully with this screw job.
Right.
What an ending for my documentary that I financed. I'm off the hook. I got fucked in Montreal. I didn't lose shit. Vince, you got your title back. You get free of my contract, and you actually now can start a little run as a heel yourself. Why am I to think that this wasn't cooked up between Brett and Vince very quietly at a bar in a Ramada in Tuscaloosa one night, and they've kept to it this whole time?
Because the Ramada in Tuscaloosa, that closed down. So it was a night's in.
How about Looker's Strip Club in Elizabeth, New Jersey by the airport?
Wow, I drove by that yesterday. That was
Did you get the
scary.
shakes?
Yes, I really did.
Shots with Yoko. Okay. Did you gargle? Did you gargle the shot? Wasn't that the deal? You guys used to have to gargle them so that you couldn't toss them?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Why shouldn't I think that, Bruce?
Well, because first of all, what business sense does it make for Vince to do that? From the standpoint of he didn't participate in the documentary. The only reason he did it was for Brett and for Carl DeMarco, who was one that had orchestrated that. It was a way. It was originally going to be a Canadian deal, you know, for the Canadian hero Bret Hart. In the documentary, it actually stopped because they just, it was, I guess, kind of boring or whatever. It just stopped for a period of time and then picked up again, and they came back when all this stuff started happening. Because now there's a little more human interest, there were more things going on. Vince didn't benefit, or again, at that point, there was no benefit for Vince. The original benefit was the exposure that documentary would have given to the WWF and to the company. If Bret
We
had
benefited
stayed.
on getting the belt back, allowing it to look like a screw job, and
Well, no,
be out of the contract and have Bret save face though, and he gets his little moment for his documentary. Now I'm gonna try this.
Do you think Bret saved face? How did Bret save face?
If his true stumbling block to doing this was, I don't want to lay down for Shawn, I don't want to lose a belt in Canada of my own volition, then he could say, well, I got screwed. I didn't do it. He didn't beat me.
It's, and again, just being on the other side, it's illogical from the standpoint of where we were going with our company and where the story was going. To have any more moving parts, it wasn't feasible. It just didn't work. Now, the Mr. McMahon character that evolved out of that was never, ever even on the table. Never on the books. It was one of those magic moments that happened, and you're sitting there going, holy shit, we've got a heel on our hands. We've had a heel on our hands since Vince opened his mouth on television, period. But he's a natural heel. People naturally disliked him because he was so much, had so much bravado and came across like, oh my, well, what's going to happen next? And they're like, fuck you, you're the owner of the company, you know what's going to happen next. So to convince him that people viewed him in another light was a tough sell sometimes.
Really?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Vince wanted to be the anonymous announcer.
I thought
Vince
he
didn't want
loved
it.
yelling at Bob Costas and
He does.
all that stuff.
But again, that's after, and he does. As a human being, yeah, he does. He really does. But that's a different Vince. That's not the character Vince. That's Vince. So there were two, then gently they merged. But by Bret leaving, the spit and the folklore that came after, and legitimate media, which I don't know what the fuck that is, picked up on different things and started portraying Vince in a negative light. It's like,
Right.
let's go with it.
All right, so let's go back prior to this. When is Hebner partnered in on what's going to happen? That day?
I believe so.
Walking into the building on November 9th, who knows?
I didn't.
You didn't.
No. Nope. Did not know.
What did you think was going to happen that night? If you didn't know that was going to happen, what did you think was going to happen? Bret was going to do it?
No, originally we had a finish that was going to be a DQ.
Right.
And Shawn was going to somehow end up, and then we went back, and Shawn was going to somehow end up with the title. And then Bret went back and was like, nah, I really can't do that. And so I'm sorry, actually, I'm reversing it. We walked in, originally, it was Shawn was going to walk out with the title. Then it came back to Bret just couldn't do that in Canada.
And I think they
So then we
agreed
did
on a
it.
schmaz,
Yeah.
DQ, and then the following night
Yeah.
something was going to happen.
Yeah.
Raw. Was
Yeah.
Okay. What point during the day do you realize something else is going to happen?
Never.
What do you mean?
I realized when it actually happened.
So you didn't know that the bell was going to be rung early?
Nope.
How'd you know to cue that music?
I didn't cue the music.
Aren't you the guy that tells them?
Yeah. But I didn't do it.
Who did?
Not me.
How was the music ready? You're right there in that spot. You wouldn't know if someone came over and said,
Yeah, but I wasn't in the truck.
No, but it doesn't. Isn't the music? Oh, the music's controlled by the
Yeah.
truck.
Yeah.
So someone in the truck was told to have the music ready. You thought we were going to hear. You didn't think we were going to hear Sean's music.
No, I had Bulldog and Owen in front of me ready for a run-in. We're all waiting for the run-in. I'm waiting for the cue for the run-in. So all of a sudden, we're just sitting there watching, and it's like, who rang the bell?
So this is a decision that Vince makes, maybe with Pat.
No, Pat didn't know.
This is a decision Vince makes with Hebner.
It's a decision that Vince made.
With Sean, well, Sean knew, he has said, so
Yep.
he made with Sean.
Yep.
Hebner had to know to ring the bell, so he knew.
Yep.
So maybe just the three of those?
Yep. There's maybe, probably one or two others that knew.
Workers or management?
No, management.
Okay.
No, I don't think any of the workers knew, unless Sean told somebody. I don't
Right.
know.
Hunter?
Don't know. Don't really know.
So it happens. You're watching.
I'm watching. I'm waiting.
And you're
for
going, okay, that's how we're going to do it.
And Bulldog and Owen were in front of me, and I think Neidhart too. And they're like, "What happened? What happened?" I think they just fought Brett. They fought Brett. And what do we do? Because I think Hunter had made his way down. So, and it was a point for, because there was a point for Hunter to do a run-in, Hunter in China, and then it was going to bring down Owen and Brett.
Right.
I mean, Owen
Vince comes out
then,
before everybody.
Well,
that
it was
planned
Vince.
too?
It was Vince and Sarge and Briscoe.
Right.
Okay. Well, that was to make it real, because it was to get them back into the ring and all that stuff. That was, they fought back and fought out, and so those guys went out. It was just to give that air of like, oh shit, this is real, and oh my God, Vince McMahon.
So Vince was going to be there anyway. It wasn't a surprise that he walked in. Okay.
No,
so,
no. It was part of it from the very beginning.
Okay. So the bell rings.
Matter of fact, I think it was Brett's idea that Vince be a part of it.
Okay. So the bell rings. Now, are you at what mode do you snap into when you realize that this has just happened? Are you inclined to run down and help Vince get out of the way, or do you stay there to run the gorilla position? What do you do?
I stayed because it was kind of shock more than anything. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And the way that everything was set up that night, and a whole bunch of different stories, but we were doing entrances backstage, which we saved for like very few matches, where we actually shot backstage of the guy coming from his dressing room all the way through Gorilla and out. And we had those entrances for Sean and Brett that night. So the Gorilla position where I was, I didn't have anybody, nobody was there. It's just me. So, and nobody came back because they were all watching back on the monitors. And yeah, it was shock more than anything. So
there's a car waiting for Hebner to get him out, right?
Apparently.
Okay, this is what we hear. I
Yeah.
don't know how much is folklore, like you said. He spits. He throws a few monitors on the floor. Stays in the ring for a while. Is consoled by his extended family. Who hits Gorilla first, Vince or Brett, with his crew?
Sean hit first, actually. Sean and his guys were back first, and then
Is he still performing that he's shocked?
Yeah, threw the belt and went to the back. But and I think that's when I left. I don't even think I waited for Vince at that point. So I just went back to Vince's office and waited there.
And then take me into this. Take me into Vince coming back.
Vince and Shane and Gerald came back, and we watched the monitor, watched Brett throw everything down and all that. We made sure to get everybody out of there.
What's Vince saying at this point?
Nothing really, just watching. Just watching what he's doing. And Jerry Briscoe left, went and talked to Brett, and came back and said, you know, need to go talk to Brett. He said, okay, let's go. So we went. And
was Brett alone in the locker room?
No.
Anvil and Davey and everyone.
There were a bunch of people in there. So
Sean's not there, obviously.
Yeah, Sean was there.
Sean's there saying to Brett, "Oh, Brett, I had no fucking idea. This is ridiculous." Yeah.
Yep.
Did you tell everybody to clear out so Vince can talk to him?
Went in and they'd gone in, cleared everybody out. Only people that were involved in the match were in there. And then it was Vince, me, Shane, Tony Gurria, I think Sarge and Jerry were the only ones that were kind of outsiders looking in.
Who speaks first?
Probably Brett. There was a lot of fuck yous, and it was just, you know, Vince explained his point. Brett pissed off, feeling was screwed, and that was it. I mean, that was really it. Brett finished taking a shower, got up, and approached Vince. It was one punch. Everybody got in between them and separated them.
Took a shower. It wasn't in the initial confrontation?
No, Brett was in the shower. Brett was in the shower. Came out of the shower and said, oh, when I finish my shower, I'll come out. And he finished taking a shower.
Why did Vince stay for the punch? Do you feel he owed it to Brett in a way?
Yeah. But he also, I mean, Vince is the kind of guy, he's gonna face you. He's gonna take whatever consequences there are. He's gonna do what he has to do for business. So to just run and hide, what does that accomplish? Is versus come in and go, hey Brett, here's why I did what I did. You left me no choice, and I'm here to face you as a man. Obviously Brett disagreed with that, and you know, they had their confrontation.
Was it hard for Shane to stand by and allow his father to get hit by somebody?
Probably. I think that would be hard for any son to do. But it was, you know, it wasn't. I've heard a lot of different versions about scuffle and fight and all this stuff. It wasn't all that. It was they got up and it was over. It was over as fast as it started.
Would they hit the floor? They hit the. You said they got up. They hit the floor.
No, they got up and Brett hit them. Brett threw a punch and everybody was there. Make sure that nothing else was done. So it was left. Yeah, sat there for a while. I said, "You got anything else?" I said, "Nope." I said, "Do you have anything else?" "Nope." And we left. So it was an interesting walking by the family and all that down there.
Julie, you talking about Brett's family?
Brett's family, yeah. They spit on us and were none too kind.
Something that always hung with me was Brett's dad was Stu Hart, who ran a territory. And if Stu said to an exiting talent, "They need the bill tonight," and they said, "Not tonight, Stu." Brett doesn't know what his father would have had to do?
Sure he does.
Why is he being so silly? Learn from a promoter. Dad was a promoter.
You know, Brett's the only one that can answer that question. You know, Randy Savage, win them in the ring, you lose them in the ring. It's time-honored tradition that you're given this trophy, which is truly a trophy, and it shows that, okay, the company trusts in you, the company believes in you to carry this company and to wear their belt, and in turn, when it's time to move that to someone else, history dictates that you do the honorable thing and that you anoint whoever it is that they choose. You don't get to choose. Okay, you didn't get to choose it, you get to win it. You don't get to choose it, you get to lose it. Somebody else's decision. And you're not really a champion because somebody else, you didn't beat anybody. Somebody else said you're going to beat somebody. So it's not like, well, I beat so-and-so. No, you didn't.
Who screwed Bret Hart?
Brett screwed Bret.
Okay. Well, when
And
we
I truly believe that. That's
clearly.
not just
Clearly.
it's not just a line. I feel that Bret was unreasonable in the way that he dealt with the situation.